Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets, and if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets. This episode is sponsored by Yellowhammer Brewing. Yellowhammer is a local craft brewery serving Huntsville for the past 14 years. They are known for their premium craft beers like their T-Minus and Rebellion, but what you might not know is they also offer spirits, wine, seltzers, and non-alcoholic drinks. Next time you stop by their location, try one of their seasonal cocktails made with the Gemini Bourbon or the Yellowhammer Vodka, or try this year's big hit Pineapple Punch Seltzer. You can find out more information about Yellowhammer Brewery by visiting their website, yellowhammerbrewery.com, or visiting their tap room located at Campus 805. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here today. Would you like to introduce yourself and we'll get started?
Sure. My name is David Fernandes. I'm currently the Senior Vice President at Mazda Toyota. I'm also the Group Vice President for Toyota. And another title is a sixth region leader.
Okay, wow. And so you've been with Toyota for a long time, and we'll kind of get into that.
Sure.
You're originally from like the Indiana area.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about your background going to school in Indiana, getting your master's in business, and then kind of getting into the automotive industry pretty early on.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and really close to the Indy 500. And I went to grade school there and high school, and then I went to college in Indiana. And MBA at IU, Kelley School of Business. And grew up in Indianapolis most of my life, and then graduated from college and went to work for, at that time it was General Motors. That was my initial start in my career. And I did that for about 4 years as kind of an internship co-op student. And then I ended up getting hired on full time. And then I went to work for Rolls-Royce after that.
Wow.
And that was an aircraft engine manufacturer in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And that kind of got me into manufacturing, and was recruited by Toyota and joined Toyota. And man, that was in 1998.
Wow. And so prior to, did you have any, there was no automotive or assembly sort of stuff that you had done in college or any other internships? That was sort of the first exposure you had to kind of what you do today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
That's right. Yeah. My initial hiring on right out of school in the manufacturing was with General Motors and then Rolls-Royce.
Yeah. And so as you've began your journey with Toyota, talk a little bit about it. I mean, it's taken you all over with this job. And so talk a little bit about that journey, kind of leading us up to in 2018 coming here to Huntsville. But give us a little bit of a bird's eye view of David's journey with Toyota.
Okay, well, great. I hope this isn't too long. When I was studying lean manufacturing, and that's what Toyota is well known for, right? And so when I received a call from a recruiter about Toyota, it was about a new plant startup, greenfield facility in West Virginia. And I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. I've been doing all this study around Toyota. Let's see what happens. And that led to an offer from our West Virginia plant, which produces engines and transmissions. And so I took that position to go to West Virginia from Indianapolis. And really thought, it was going to be kind of, I'll go do this for 5 years and beef up my resume and then go find, another job. Use that as kind of springboard to go to the next level. Ended up spending 9 years at the West Virginia plant. And there in West Virginia, they make transmissions and they also make engines. And that was a great introduction to Toyota, great career. And after that, I was tapped on the shoulder to go to our engineering headquarters, which was in Erlanger, Kentucky, northern Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati, and went there and spent 4 years there. And honestly, that was such an amazing introduction to what Toyota does when they're thinking about feasibility studies, future business, bringing over new products to North America. And so I spent about 4 years doing that role. And it was a great opportunity to network and kind of see the broader Toyota as opposed to just being in a manufacturing facility. But I love manufacturing. So I got tapped on the shoulder again and asked to go to the Kentucky plant. That's the home of the Camry. It's our largest plant in North America. Went there to run the powertrain division and spent about 5 years in the Kentucky plant doing that role. And then again, got tapped on the shoulder and asked to come to Alabama. And honestly, when I first got asked to come to Alabama, I thought, Alabama. That's
Interesting. Yeah.
right?
Like, did you know any, like, obviously with all these moves, I mean, did you think coming out of college that the job you were going to have was going to move you so often? Or did you have this intent of, hey, I'm going to live in Indiana or I'm going to live in wherever and I'm going to plant roots and stay home and do this, kind of have this career and not move? Or did you really like this idea of traveling and moving and kind of picking up roots and going somewhere else?
No, honestly, before leaving Indiana to join Toyota, I'd never really left Indiana. So no idea that I would do all that traveling. And, after I went to Alabama, I was the vice president of the Alabama engine plant here in Huntsville. And I did that job for a few years. And at the time, I didn't know I was going to be the president of that plant. I just knew I was there to be the vice president. But the president there retired. His name was Jim Bolte, great friend of mine, great mentor. And Jim retired, and I took over the spot there at the Alabama engine plant. And did that for another couple of years. And at that time, Toyota said, hey, it's time for you to go do a global assignment. Asked me to consider going to Japan. And I asked if there was any other options. And they had a gentleman in South Africa that they wanted to come to do a global assignment. And so him and I ended up rotating positions. I literally went to South Africa to do the manufacturing senior vice president job. And he came here to do the Alabama engine president job.
Wow.
So we just swapped roles. His name is David Finch, and he was here for a couple of years. Did that assignment, South Africa for 2 years, came back to the U.S., went down to Mississippi, just 2 hours from Huntsville, and spent 3 years there in Mississippi being the president of that plant, and then got asked to come here to the Mazda Toyota plant to help them with the joint venture.
Wow. And so with that break between coming here to Huntsville originally to work at the engine assembly stuff to then leaving, going to Mississippi and coming back, how much, I mean, in that short amount of time, Huntsville probably changed quite a bit. From, give us sort of that, and when you first came here, what did you think of Huntsville? And then kind of as you were getting that assignment back here, what was your, like, were you more excited now that you already been here? What were you expecting? Kind of what did that look like?
Yeah, so probably for the last 10 years, Huntsville has been home for my family. So we kept, kind of our home base here in Huntsville. But yeah, I've seen it transition quite a bit in that 10-year period. I think when I first came here from Kentucky, the obvious thing that I noticed was like in traffic, things didn't move as fast. And then when I would go to Texas or some other place, I would really notice a difference in the speed of the traffic. And fast forward now, the speed of traffic is about the same as where anywhere else you go in the country. So yeah, it's amazing. But just to see the growth here in Huntsville has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And so from the MTM perspective, that talk a little bit how in 2018 is when they unveiled sort of the land, like what this facility that we're sitting in today recording was going to look like and kind of be. How does that process look like from Toyota's perspective as they are looking for new locations to do something like this? Was Huntsville years in the making going to be something like this? Or as that first plant opened up to do the engine stuff, did then the transition, it just was a good fit?
Yeah, I really believe, and this is just my opinion. This isn't like something, someone from Toyota headquarters has told me. This is just my opinion. I think that having the engine plant here for so many years in Huntsville and being just such a good community partner really set the stage for the opportunity to have the Mazda Toyota facility brought here. There's as you can imagine, this is a $2.3 billion investment, a lot of money, right? And so to make that kind of investment, I think a company has to have a lot of trust in the community, has to have a lot of goodwill and, understanding that they can be successful. And so I think those years of success with the engine plant just led to a natural fit for the Mazda Toyota plant to be here.
Yeah. And so from that announcement that Mazda Toyota was going to be here to it actually the first car being assembled, how long was that journey and kind of that process? Because with like I said, with the billions of dollars poured into this facility, I mean, it takes a little while to get built up.
Yeah. Well, for one, this place is huge.
It is. I was lost when I got here. I was like, I was telling them when I got here, I had been out and seen this facility, I don't think ever since it got built. And so I just remember growing up, going to Greenbriar all the time to eat barbecue after church. And you take that turn and it's just this incredible, huge facility that you don't really see from 565. And so you wouldn't really know it's there unless you know Greenbriar's there, or you live over there, or just familiar with the area. And it is a maze.
Yeah, it's huge. So, and it takes a long time to build this facility. And not to not to really go back to the pandemic, but this facility was actually constructed during the pandemic.
Mm.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine building this place during the pandemic? So I think everybody remembers, the construction challenges that happened during the pandemic and getting people to come, to work with masks on and all those things we weren't used to. That's the time this plant was actually built. So it took about 3 years to build the facility. And then we launched our first line, which we call the Apollo line. We kind of mimic the space industry that's here. So our Apollo line is our Corolla Cross line, and our Discovery line is our Mazda CX-50 line. So we do 2 different vehicles here.
Okay.
So that took, 3 years to construct the building, another couple of years to hire people, train people, and really get things launched. So the place has only been in operations building cars for about 3 years.
Wow.
So, it's pretty amazing that we're doing what we're doing here.
Yeah. And the 2 cars that are manufactured here are actually right behind us.
That's it. Yep.
In the camera. So if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, go to YouTube and watch it because they're in the photos. We'll also have some videos in this podcast as well, kind of showcasing some of these cars being made. So with this being built during COVID, how difficult, looking at the workforce as a whole, I mean, it was a tough time in general. And so you're building this facility, you're trying to ramp up, you have this expectation to meet this potential quota or whatever it might be once the doors actually officially open. As you began operations and kind of started doing the cars, how much has the workforce grown since those maybe first cars went through the line versus where we sit today at the end of 2025?
Yeah. So, it's pretty interesting how these plants are constructed. So once you launch, usually you launch a day shift operation, and then, 6 months later, you add the evening shift. So for us, this car to my left, the Corolla Cross, we actually launched it first.
Okay.
And then 6 months later, we added an evening shift. And then we launched the CX-50, and then 6 months later, we launched the evening shift. But that required us to hire 4,000 team members. And I actually wasn't here at the startup of the plant when they started up, but the team that was here did an absolute incredible job of getting the place set up, hiring all the different team members, training them, and then actually started to build the cars, right? So 2 years coming after I got here, which I've only been here for 2 years, they had already done all that work, right? And my role has been kind of come in, help us stabilize, and continue to move the operations to the next level. Yeah. That's kind of what I've helped support here.
Yeah.
In the early days, to your point, they had really high attrition. You're hiring folks that maybe don't know what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, we were all sitting at home, working from home, and you can imagine now you're requiring people to actually be here on site, build cars, wear masks, all those kind of things. So you can just imagine how difficult that would have been. Transition to the day, we've got a very stable workforce. Our team members are incredible. They're the reasons why we're doing what we're doing, honestly. We're producing 150,000 Corolla Crosses on the Apollo side, and then about 100,000 vehicles on the Mazda side.
Wow. And it's incredible because, it's only been really, like you said, couple years of doing both of this. Right. And so to get up to that point, and obviously the expectations are even higher. I think what was interesting too, as we were coming in, sort of that paint process of how that was such a unique thing. And I think for most people like myself, like that never has been out here or in the manufacturing work for Mazda Toyota, that process is very unique. Give us just a little bit of a kind of just another bird's eye view of what that looks like. Because I think it was such an interesting process that the painters go through, the cars go through to make something like that possible.
Yeah, and not just paint. What we literally do here, we have a on-site partner called Madison Metals. Actually, we have 11 on-site partners, but one of them is called Madison Metals. They bring the coils in. So it starts with a coil of steel that gets brought in, and that goes through our stamping shop, and our stamping shop then stamps the different parts that then go through our weld shop, and then we weld those parts together. And then once we do that part of it, the body of the car goes through the paint shop. And that's what you got to see.
Yeah.
And highly automated, a lot of robots, right? But our team members have to maintain all those pieces of equipment. And paint is very unique. You can't have any contamination. A hair in the paint system will cause all kind of problems, right? So we have to keep a place, super clean. We have to make sure we keep contamination out of the process, and our team members are actually making sure that every car that we paint here is painted properly, and we produce the best quality that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is we're using kind of Mazda's paint technology here, which is pretty unique. Our paint here is, world class. It's kind of the best paint process that any automotive manufacturer has.
Yeah, and so with the process is insane. I recommend anybody that's listening, if you haven't just driven by the facility, it's just incredible because the assembly line kind of stretches the whole length.
Yeah.
And then you have all these inner working parts that kind of make it possible. And then we're obviously in the administration sort of building where a whole nother element of Mazda Toyota kind of happens.
Right.
As we sit in 2025, kind of wrapping up the end of this year, and the volume of these two cars we're sitting, is there expectations, or is there sort of the look ahead of, hey, is there other cars that could potentially be done here, or is at the facility that we're at, is this kind of, hey, 2 cars is what you would get from this facility on a yearly basis?
No, that's a great question, Clark. I think that the future's bright here. It really is. Generally speaking, our products have about a 7-year life cycle. So these products that we're building here today will be built for 7 years in this facility. And usually then you retool, and you may make some minor changes, which we kind of call refresh on that vehicle. So you may change the headlamps or the front grille to make the car look a little bit different. Usually it includes adding some new technology. So a lot of safety features on these vehicles, right? So we have the blind spot detection so that if you're going to, transition into another lane, you don't have a blind spot, those kind of detections. Cameras are on these cars like crazy anymore. You have the laser cruise control and, all these things. So technology also is something that we change to refresh the vehicle. And then about every 7 years or so, you do a complete remodel.
Okay.
Now, there's nothing that's been announced about a complete remodel at this point, because again, we're only about 3 years into manufacturing these vehicles. That's kind of what you try to get ready for. You try to get the organization to be ready for those kind of change points, and that takes a lot of work, right? In addition to that, I think it's really important that folks recognize that we are building a new company here, right? With a new culture of Mazda Japanese folks and Toyota Japanese folks, or Huntsville folks that are here. And then as large as it is, it takes a lot to really build the kind of culture that you want. So that's probably where we're spending not probably, let me answer that again. That's where we're spending a lot of our time right now.
Yeah. And so as far as when there is those tweaks or those things that need to be done that aren't maybe a 7-year sort of, hey, we need to refresh this whole thing, how quick, is that something that can be done? If something comes out and says, hey, you have to include this, or you have to do it this way, which is always regulations that you have to follow, and there's always new things that come out. How quickly, especially with a lot of the processes being robotic or whatever it might be, how quickly can something like that be achieved? Or is that something that really has to kind of look at more of a long-term year plan? Yeah,
so the best way to answer that is we have these shutdown periods. Usually we have a summer shutdown and we have a holiday shutdown, like in the month of December. We'll shut down till the beginning of January. We try to fit those change points in those big shutdowns. So if we have to do any type of major equipment upgrades or changes, we have the actual time to do it. So that's one way to look at it. The other way is it usually takes anywhere from 6 months of planning before we could actually make a change on the product. So, the designers are doing their things. And then once they finish their designs, then they actually transition that to what we call as a pilot team. And our pilot team starts to look at, what are these change points? How long is it going to take us to do them? And then we build milestone schedules in order to make those changes.
And so, I
make it sound simple, but it's quite complicated.
It's I just imagine, I drive an 05 car.
Okay.
And I just think about all the things that now are required.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
It's incredible. And it's just now it's when I'm in other people's cars, I'm like, goodness gracious, my car is so behind.
Right.
What do you mean you can remote start?
Right.
That's just crazy to think about.
They're from your computer on wheels.
Yeah. And from y'all's perspective, having to kind of always be front and center, kind of with the new things, with the new trends, with the new expectations, because you're not only looking at it from the Mazda and Toyota perspective, but you're also kind of having to look at it as the full sense of automotive.
Absolutely.
Because it's not, yes, you would love to be, hey, the first adopter of something that's incredible. Right. That would be an amazing milestone. The first thing on Toyota is built right here in Huntsville. Right. That's awesome. But you're also wanting to make sure that you are, you're competing with the market as a whole.
Sure.
Looking back at, when you're looking at that workforce, and you talk about all the different partners that are involved with what goes on here, the workforce in something like this in the manufacturing has changed a ton.
Sure.
In Huntsville.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How has, from your perspective, as the company is continuing to grow and you're continuing to hire more and more people, has finding talented workforce been easier? And how much of your workforce is from the surrounding areas? And then do you even have people that, travel to move here to work for y'all? And like, how does that look like?
Yeah, and I'll answer that in a couple different ways. We if you could draw like a 60-mile radius around the plant, that's about where our team members come from. So they're coming from 60 miles, as far as 60 miles away. So from everywhere, every direction, and we haven't had any trouble finding people to come here to work. Honestly, now we've had our challenges of retentions through the pandemic, and this wasn't the right fit for some people and those kind of things. But as far as finding folks, we haven't had that problem, and it's been absolutely impressive to me that the rate of pay that we're giving right now. I mean, folks can come to work here, never have a college debt, and honestly make as much as what people would go off and do a 4-year college degree.
Wow.
So I think for some folks that maybe you're just graduating from high school and don't want to go to college, this is an awesome place to come to and have a great career, a great paying career, right? With good benefits. So I think that's also an attraction for folks. If I was to say, what difficulties we've had, I'd say you're always challenged with the technical side of the business, right? And one of the neat things is being here in Huntsville, there's a lot of engineers, right?
For sure.
So that's not been a problem where that is a problem at some of our other locations that we have, with our parent companies like Toyota or Mazda. But for us here in this smart city, we haven't had those issues as far as engineering is concerned. Maintenance is a skill that's kind of very unique, right? And honestly, we've had to grow our own maintenance personnel. We have this program called the AMT program. It's Advanced Maintenance Technicians, where we literally have partners through community colleges here that we send students to, and we actually train them. So we'll pay them while they're going through the training, and then we'll bring them on full time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that area we've had to kind of grow on our own. But we're fully staffed right now in the maintenance area, which is really, really good. And then we have a production and maintenance program where our production team members that desire to go into maintenance can have that opportunity to go through kind of same program to get into those technical fields.
Yeah. And so from y'all's perspective too, I feel like there's a lot of, like, not only at the college level are you looking at trying to, get people into these programs, maybe at Calhoun or other Drake State or whatever it might be.
One of our partners.
But when you're looking at the high school level, how much of sort of the partnerships do you have locally with high schools, looking at kind of not necessarily maybe doing programs with the high schools, but maybe just coming in and educating them? Because I think about my perspective coming out of high school a couple of years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe 10 years ago, whoever knows, and thinking about what do I want to do as my career?
Right.
Like, how much of it is just education on the high school level, and how much of it is actually maybe hands-on experiences, tours, whatever that might be?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that. For me, I think like young folks may not know that Mazda Toyota exists, or may not know how cool this place is, right? I think also parents may not know that manufacturing is completely different here. I mean, it's a clean environment. It's bright. It's not maybe what their parents thought of manufacturing back in the day, right? High tech, robotics everywhere, those kind of things. So I think you're right. I think it's about education. It's about getting the word out and educating folks that, that may want to come to a place like Mazda Toyota to work in the future. And what you find is these young folks that come, whether they come here for a tour with their school, or they just come to visit, they're just fascinated. They walk through, similar to what you said.
Yeah.
You realize how big this place is. You realize all the different things we're doing here, and it's fascinating. And I think that little tweak in somebody's eye where they're like, oh man, that'd be a cool place to work. That's what we're after.
100%. And it's a very interesting thing just to think about that process, because it is one of those things. It's hard to maybe articulate what is being done here, but it's much easier to kind of show someone what's being done here. Yeah. And you mentioned some of those partners that you have locally here in Huntsville. Talk a little bit about that importance, because I know when we first met, a big importance that you kind of portrayed was that, yes, you are Mazda, yes, you are Toyota, yes, you are this joint venture with the two, but you also kind of want to showcase that, hey, we're a local company here in North Alabama, here in Huntsville. Talk a little bit about how you look at partnerships and collaboration with Huntsville entities, and kind of that growth that you've had kind of since being here for the last 2 years, and kind of what the future looks like with that partnership with the city.
Yeah, and actually, for Mazda Toyota, it's just not Huntsville, right? Because we're in Limestone County here, so it's Madison, it's Athens, it's Decatur, it's Huntsville,
and you probably have, with that 60-mile radius, you have so many different counties,
absolutely.
so many different
counties
that are all involved with what goes on here, and so
everywhere.
You're probably not only you involved with Huntsville and Madison County, you're also involved with all the other, because you probably look at it from the sense of, hey, where do our employees come from, and how can we invest in their communities?
That's exactly right. Yeah, so it's partnering with all those different communities and trying to support and seeing where can we partner together, right? There's some areas, whether it's schooling, education, community service. There's all those areas that we try to partner with our different community stakeholders and make sure that we're representing all of our team members, exactly what you said. So, there's we just did a $50,000 donation to the food bank here. And I'm especially proud of that in today's world, and times are hard and around these holidays and those kind of things. And I know that money will go a long way because, again, the food bank here is an important piece for a lot of different people, right? So those kind of partnerships are really, really instrumental and really important to us here at Mazda Toyota. I think also just being we call it a hometown company, right? So it's where can we interject ourselves to support, the community. We really, really work hard at that. We did an event this year called Space Race. Not a big event, but, our team members enjoyed it. They got to go and run in a 5K, and, their family members could participate in those kind of things. So I think we just look for those different community engagement opportunities. We do an annual activity here. It's kind of like Shark Tank for, nonprofits. They come here and they basically pitch, their activity that they're doing and potentially can receive a grant. And we give away a bunch of grants to that activity. And I think it's fascinating. It's absolutely an awesome partnership that you can support those nonprofits that are trying to do really good work here, in all the surrounding areas.
Yeah. And it's incredible just to look at that, because it is when people think of Mazda Toyota, they don't think of necessarily of a hometown company, but I think looking at, the blueprint of where y'all have this facility at, kind of the area, the history it has, the history of the area has, and then kind of y'all's importance and expectations to pour back into the community is incredible to look at. As we're sitting here at the end of 2025 recording this episode might release beginning of 2026, it might release beginning end of this year. What does 2026 look like from Mazda Toyota's perspective? What are some of the things that maybe the community could see, hey, here's what's being done here, and what are you hoping, maybe from a personal perspective, what are you hoping to see from Mazda Toyota manufacturing?
The thing that warms my heart is just the stability that we've been able to achieve here. I'll take our Corolla Cross, for example. That car is doing great in the market. We can't produce enough of them. I get a call from our headquarters every month. Hey, can you produce more of these? So we're at capacity. We've achieved our 83-second line speed is what we call it. Wow. So we're kicking out a car every 83 seconds off of that line. And that's 150K capacity for the Corolla Cross. Wow. And every one of them that we build is already sold, so it's absolutely amazing. And the CX-50 is doing just as well in the market. So I think it starts there. I think it starts with your products doing really well. But I really want to focus on this, this answer to our team members. I think the people that we have working here are the best people in the world. They come to work every day. They're dedicated to make the best quality product that they can. And our leadership team is dedicated on developing those individuals every single day. So you may come in here and you may not know anything about building a car. But I promise you, if you're willing to learn every single day, you're going to learn something every single day. And that knowledge builds to where all of a sudden you're a subject matter expert. You might be a subject matter expert in the paint shop or in the body weld shop or in quality, in inspecting or whatever. But there's so many opportunities to become an expert in something here. And that development to be that, I think, is absolutely wonderful for our team members, our community. And, we had an open house this past year. And I think our team was just shocked at how important that event was for our team members. They brought their families on site. They could tell their family what they do. They could show them where they work. We had over 6,000 people here for that event. Wow. And it was incredible. Just a great celebration, for the stability and the success that we've had here so far.
Yeah, and so as with those sort of leadership things and the roles that your teams kind of put into the people that are working here, as if someone comes in, maybe they come right out of high school,
right?
As the example, they come right out of high school, they learn about what's being done here, they learn about kind of what they can achieve here, they join, they start working kind of ground zero.
Yeah.
What is sort of the trajectory, or what can someone maybe expect if they're listening and they're thinking about, hey, maybe my son's not wanting to go, or my daughter's not wanting to go to college. Right. Maybe this is the right fit. What's sort of the career trajectory they could have coming right out of high school here at Mazda Toyota, and what would that experience maybe be like?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen people that we've hired in as a team member, and they've already been promoted to a team leader, which is kind of the front line out there, and then they've been promoted to a group leader in a matter of 3 years. I mean, now that speed won't always be here because we're going to saturate as far as those promotional opportunities. There's still a ton of opportunities here. And what's interesting, my son actually works here.
Okay, he
works in our internal logistics team, and I'm so proud of him. And he absolutely loves it here. And we have those conversations all the time. He'll ask me about career and those kind of things. And he's a young man that's graduated from high school, but didn't have plans to go to college as of yet.
Yeah.
And decided to come work here, and he's just finding it fascinating. So, again, being a leader of this company, it really warms my heart that, I've got somebody, here locally that is seeing, a great opportunity here. He's working here, and we have 4,000 team members that are that way, right? So, and the sky's the limit. I could tell you stories about some of our other affiliates and where we've had people hire in, and they've grown all the way to the level of a president.
Wow.
Because I think we just do such a great job of human development, and that's what we're doing here. I mean, again, like I said earlier, it's really up to the team members. They can come in and learn as much as they want and grow as much as they want.
Yeah, it's kind of back to that culture thing. Like you've trying to develop a culture for a company is underlying one of the most important things, I think, for any company at any level, at any size. Right. Building that culture, and the culture does change. As one car was being built versus when two cars are being built. Absolutely. Culture has to change. Things change. Logistically, things are changing. Businessy, all the different levels of operations here change when things happen, good or bad.
Right.
And so being able to pivot, and like you said, there's so many different levels of roles here that it's not just, hey, I want to work, I'm working on the line, or hey, I'm just working in paint, but like there's the logistics stuff. There's, I mean, it's a full operation that needs a variety of different individuals to kind of support what goes on here. Yeah. As we were sort of scheduling this conversation to make this happen, I learned a lot about your schedule, which seems kind of crazy. Give us, so it's kind of a two-part on this. Give us sort of what a day in the life looks like.
Yeah.
If you're not traveling, if you're here in Huntsville and you're at the facility, what does that day in the life look like?
Yeah, I would say my team would say, "Oh, we know when he's here." So but honestly, I feel like I'm just a big cheerleader. Like, I come to work, and my role is to make sure that our team understands what we're trying to achieve, right? And to kind of challenge, the status quo. Like, okay, we've done a really good job of stabilizing, for example, but what's next?
Yeah.
Right. And just kind of always putting that continuous improvement, as we call it, in the forefront, because you can never be good enough, right? You always got to be getting better and better. And so, I try to drive that here at Mazda Toyota. And then we have a great leadership team here. I mean, our leadership team is incredible, probably one of the best that I've ever personally worked with.
Wow.
Just absolute, incredible people. And so we try to make sure that we have one voice, so that when we go out and we're talking to all of the team members, that we're giving a consistent message.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. And, I just think the future is just really bright here at Mazda Toyota, because to do what we've done here in 3 years, and that's people that came before me, obviously, people that will come after, but to do what we've done here so far is pretty neat.
Yeah,
so.
100%. And I mean, a lot of your work is also traveling, because I think we've talked a couple times over the last 6 or 7 months. You were going to Japan or going to Texas, wherever. How often, if you're looking at, maybe the year as a whole, as we're wrapping up 2025, how much or how often are you traveling to other plants, other facilities, headquarters, whatever it might be? And kind of what does that split look like between travel and in-house stuff?
Yeah, I think one of the neat things that we do as a company is we recognize that in some of our other facilities that we have across North America, that there's really, really best practices happening. So like myself, I'll go to our Kentucky plant, and a lot of the reasons for going to that Kentucky plant, some business meetings, but there's also some benchmarking opportunities. So I'm looking at what they're doing there that's really good and trying to bring that back here. So that's some of the travel that I do. The other role that I play is a Region 6 leader. So with Toyota, I join a lot of meetings with the other presidents that are at the other plants and the other region leaders, and we get together and we're looking at the company from a regional standpoint, and we're making decisions for the company as a region, at least on the manufacturing side. So I play that role too. So that requires me to do some traveling. And then again, we're a global company, so sometimes it requires me to go visit, Japan, as you and I were talking. That's what I was doing on that trip. It was really a cool trip because it was supporting, our governor's office and taking our local mayor here, Tommy Battle, to Japan. And that trip was to go to Hiroshima and go to the Mazda facility and to kind of just keep that touch point, Tommy had a chance to see what they're doing there and have an opportunity to talk to them and share with them, how proud we are, Mazda Toyota being here. Chip Cherry, our chamber chair, was with us on that trip. We just had a great trip, and they got a good chance to go talk to the leadership there.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to think of just your mind having to look at, if you're looking at it's like you're flying an it's the airplane is the company as a whole, and you're having to think about it as that. You're in meetings looking at that, but then you're also in meetings looking at Huntsville, like this facility, and then this facility, and then you're to just have that ability just to kind of work around all these different pieces, these moving parts, to be able to also make what is happening here incredible is awesome to see. As we kind of wrap up the conversation, 2 questions. If someone's listening to this and they maybe don't know much about what's going on, they've learned a lot in the conversation. If you were to leave them with one thing that you would want them to know about what's going on here, what would that be?
Nothing's impossible. I mean, I would say that, this Mazda Toyota partnership and the vehicles that we're building here and the people that we're building into on a daily basis, nothing's impossible. So, and I would say one other thing is that when you can approach something from a team standpoint and get everybody to work together, you can achieve some great things.
That's awesome. Yeah. And if someone's listening, a parent, an individual that's looking for a job or looking to join what's going on here, they've loved the conversation and they want to find out more information, where's sort of the best place for them to learn more and maybe even have a chance to come out here and see the facility themselves?
Yeah, sure. So, we've obviously they could, nowadays you could Google Mazda Toyota and everything will pop up, right? So we do a day of work or an assessment activity where if somebody wants to come work here, we put them through, the activities to show them what the job is really like, to make sure that they're a fit for us and we're a fit for them, right? Because I think that eliminates a lot of wasted time for individuals. But yeah, you could easily Google Mazda Toyota and find out all the details of where to go to apply for a job here. And I would say for parents, we're not a perfect place. Only being in operations for 3 years, we're still developing our company. We're still developing our processes, all those kind of things. But what I can promise you is we're working every single day to become perfect. So we're working really, really hard. We won't stop. We'll make this the best place to work along the years. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. We'll have everything in the episode notes. We'll have links to everything. So if anyone wants to find out more information, visiting their website, their social medias, all of that will be in the episode notes. But I appreciate you taking the time. I feel like we're going to have this conversation in a couple of years. Because, like you said, nothing's impossible. Yeah. And I think, a lot of the things that, and there even might be things that are already in the back, in the weeds working on that you can't talk about yet. But hopefully in a couple of years, we'll be able to talk about those. But I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. Thanks, Clark. I appreciate you and Beyond Rockets, man. Great podcast, and looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.